Hello there, welcome back to Food for Thought. My name is Olga Preston and I am a registered nutritional therapist and nutritionist, specializing in nutrition for mental well-being at the Institute for Optimum Nutrition Brain Biocenter. Now, do you know what nutrients are needed to protect your brain health? Our brain is made of fats, and as we learned before, the fats that we consume have a profound effect on mental health. But we don't only need fats for good brain function. We also need vitamins and minerals and antioxidants to support an array of functions and signaling inside our brain and inside our bodies. These micronutrients fine-tune brain function, so without them, things will not work as they should. Today, we'll look at a range of nutrients that you need for brain health. When we think about neurotransmitters, we must remember to make them. Yes, we need to consume protein from which we get amino acids. For example, to make serotonin, our happy neurotransmitter, we need tryptophan, an amino acid which is in chicken and turkey and tuna and oats. Protein is key for mental health and can be from animal sources such as chicken and fish and turkey and lamb and beef or eggs, or it can be plant-based protein like hemp and quinoa and peas and nuts and seeds and soya and quinoa and tofu. The important thing is to ensure that we have good quality protein with every single meal. If you're someone who likes porridge, for example, you can add a tablespoon of nut butter for an added bit of protein, or if you like having a salad for lunch, you can add some chicken or a tin of sardines, or you could put a tin of butter beans inside and add some hummus and a little bit of olive oil as well on top. That will make it quite delicious. What you eat affects your brain composition, its structure and its function. The relationship between nutrition and mental well-being is quite critical, and diet has a significant effect on mood and mental health, especially mental well-being. Our Western diet is often high in calorie and low in nutrient density. A healthy diet can positively affect mental health by being anti-inflammatory, providing antioxidant support and supporting also neurogenesis, the new formation of neurons. The microbiome, which is your gut flora, your immune system, and also regulating your gene expression. It can have a positive effect on your hormones, your stress levels, your neurotransmitters, your memory, your mood, how you feel, how you can concentrate, on how you sleep, and on so many things. Now, on the flip side, marked deficiencies, that's when you don't have enough or you're not taking enough nutrients, then you have problems. You start having numerous mental health disorders associated with deficiencies. Nutrition also has the capability of changing gene expression, which means that exposure to environmental factors or certain nutrients could alter the genetic blueprint and cause changes in expression of genes in your brain. So these changes could then be inherited by our children and our grandchildren. So nutrition can provide resilience in a world where we are constantly being bombarded by toxins. We cannot live in a bubble, that's absolutely impossible. We need to enjoy and embrace life. But at the same time, we need to protect our bodies and our minds by getting the right nutrition to support our lifestyles and fight our genetic predisposition if necessary. For example, when you think about B12 depletion can cause depression, reduce memory, and even psychosis. So by having a diverse diet that includes foods rich in B12, we can protect our brains and our future. It is important to understand that nutrients don't work in isolation. They work as part of a team. Okay? It's very, very important. They work together. They support each other to make their job properly. So supporting different cascades, supporting different functions, they all work together. A diverse diet is always best to provide an array of different nutrients. For example, if you think about a really good diet, we could think about the Mediterranean diet, which we have talked about before, but it has been noted that it has many, many benefits on mental health. The Mediterranean diet is basically a diet which is rich in olive oil and nuts and legumes and seeds and eggs and fresh fish. white meat, fresh vegetables, fruit, moderate consumption of fermented dairy products. It has a lower intake of red meat and only a moderate consumption of wine, which is mainly taken with main courses. In terms of nutrients, it has low saturated fats, but it's very high in antioxidants. It's got really good fiber, it's got a very good balance of omega-3 and omega-6, which we need for brain function. It has been also noted to improve things like depressive symptoms over time and even improve rates of remission. So we're starting to understand the importance of nutrition for mental well-being. There are so many nutrients that are crucial for mental health. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to list a few of the main ones. But they're not the only ones because, as I said, they work as part of a team. We have all heard that it is very important to take folic acid during pregnancy, but perhaps we haven't heard how important folic acid is for our mental health. Now, folic acid is the synthetic form of B9, which is a B vitamin. Now, on the other hand, you also have folate, which is the natural form of B9. Folate or folic acid, they both need to undergo a biotransformation in order to be utilized in our bodies. It needs to be transformed into what we call L-methylfolate, which can then cross the blood-brain barrier and can be used to regulate production of neurotransmitters like dopamine, which is our reward mechanism, noradrenaline, which is very important for concentration and for drive, serotonin, which is our happy neurotransmitter. If you remember, we talked about the importance of neurotransmitters in our first episode. Now, low levels of folic acid are associated with things like depression. In fact, approximately, I think, 1/3 of depressed individuals have a deficiency of folic acid. So it's important. When you think about folic acid, it also helps stop things like, it helps for things to accumulate and become toxic. So it's really important to have it in our diets. To increase folic acid, you can increase things like brewer's yeast, or legumes, or liver, brown rice, spinach, red kidney beans, and green leafy vegetables in your diet. Now, homocysteine is a sulfur-containing amino acid, which is part of the B12 and folate pathway, but accumulation of homocysteine is toxic, and that's bad news. It's very detrimental for mental health. High homocysteine is associated with things like depression and memory problems, problems with cognition. This accumulation can be the result of low levels of B12 and folate, so intake of these two nutrients is key to support mental health. They both work together to reduce inflammation levels caused by homocysteine. Again, the Mediterranean diet is associated with low homocysteine levels because it contains lots of B12 and folate sources. The main sources of B12 are things like meat and liver and fish and eggs and dairy products. If you're a vegan, you will need to eat fortified foods and/or supplement. B6 is also extremely important for mental health and is key for the production of serotonin, dopamine, and noradrenaline. So as you can see, we need a few B vitamins to support our mental health. To increase B6, you can eat more liver and eggs and chicken and beef and a little bit of fish. You know, the fish is so good for you. Green leafy vegetables, watercress, and cauliflower. So if we think about how we incorporate these foods into our diet, you're thinking watercress, how do I put watercress and how do I put the green leafy vegetables? You can just start by doing one little change like we talked before. So for example, if when you have a sandwich, rather than putting lettuce, you could put watercress. You could put kale, or you could put a little bit of spinach. One little change at a time to support your mental health. Most of us have heard about vitamin D, that vitamin D is good for our immunity and that it helps to make our bones stronger. We all know that, vitamin D and bones, fantastic. But perhaps you haven't heard about the importance of vitamin D for mental health. Vitamin D deficiency has been associated with an increased risk of mental health problems, as well as individual responses to stress. So maintaining good levels of vitamin D also protects us against depression. In the brain, vitamin D receptors influence several aspects of the serotonin pathway, which is our happy neurotransmitter, such as increasing serotonin synthesis or influencing serotonin transporters, or even the levels of serotonin breakdown. So to increase your level of vitamin D, increase things like oily fish, eggs, liver, red meat. If you're a vegan, you can buy some mushrooms, which now you can buy them fortified with vitamin D. Absolutely amazing, but you can get this from your local supermarket. And so you may, or otherwise you can just supplement. Our next nutrient is magnesium, which is absolutely fantastic to calm your brain and be able to relax you. Magnesium has many biological functions, including energy production and nerve conduction. It is important for the stability of cell membranes and for the communication of neurons. It also has anti-inflammatory properties. Now, low magnesium can be due to, for example, poor absorption, certain medication, alcohol intake, maybe an issue with the soil, agriculture, or otherwise, sometimes it's because due to extensive intake of processed foods and refined grains. Now, magnesium supports GABA receptors, and just remember, GABA is your calming neurotransmitter, so it's so important. It also acts to antagonize glutamate receptors, and remember that glutamate is excitatory. So by increasing GABA and reducing glutamate, that has a relaxing effect that helps to reduce anxiety. Now, to increase magnesium, what do? This is easy, so don't worry. You need to increase things like almonds and cashews and molasses. Dark green leafy vegetables are absolutely fantastic. Sesame seeds, brown rice, sunflower seeds, and even a little bit of dark chocolate. But how do we put these foods into our diet? The easiest thing, when you think about rice, you just choose the brown rice rather than the white rice. Dark green leafy vegetables, you can just buy a packet in the supermarket and then just add it to stir fries or chop them very finely and mix them with your soup. When it's finished your soup, you can just add some dark leafy vegetables, just mix it so you get all the nutrients from the fresh vegetables. Molasses you can add to porridge. Almond and cashews you could just roast very nicely for a few minutes in the oven, and then you can blend them with olive oil and make some delicious nut butter, and then you can just snack on it, or you could add it to your porridge or to your yogurt. So these are easy ways that you can just do, at home to increase your magnesium levels that will help you relax. So as we can see, there are lots of nutrients we need to support our mental well-being. The key is having a diverse diet, so you can get an array of different nutrients in. Following the Mediterranean diet will be a great start, and choosing vegetables and fruit full of color like a rainbow. This week, I want you to think about what new foods you can bring into your diet. Perhaps try to eat one new vegetable a week. Remember that variety is key. Today's lifestyle suggestion is making time for friends and family, to share and to celebrate life. Sometimes we get too busy for social interactions, but they are really, really, really important for our mental well-being. Part of this can also be making sure that we have a safety net for those times when we have a little struggle, as most of us will struggle at some time or another. It's also important for us to be grateful for what we have, so doing a few affirmations can help some people with this. As can also help, making a list of 3 things you're grateful for at the end of each day. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Food for Thought. In our final episode, I'm going to be talking all about gut function, so make sure that you keep watching. In the meantime, you can subscribe to our free digital magazine for more information on well-being. See you next time.